And the first set of hooks now traveling. 2 gangs of hooks, 6 hooks apiece, will open in sequential fashion. Hook set number 1 followed quickly by hook set number 2. And then the next step will be that 1.5-second pulse of the Draco thrusters, the undocking burner that will create the physical separation between Dragon and the International Space Station. The Expedition 73 crew are who will be left on board the station to continue the unbroken presence of humans on board the orbital outpost led by Roscosmos cosmonaut Sergei Ryakov, the new ISS commander joined by Alexei Zubritsky, Oleg Platinov, Johnny Kim, Zena Cardman, Mike Frink, and Kimi Aui. Takes about 5 minutes from the issuance of the undocking command until physical separation. So, we'll be standing by to annotate the exact time and location over the Earth at the point of physical separation that will begin the trip home for Dragon Endurance. We're currently in an orbital nighttime pass. We should be moving into a daylight pass over the southwestern Pacific Ocean a short time from now. The International Space Station are traveling from southwest to northeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. Dragon and the International Space Station flying into an orbital sunrise. All hooks confirmed to be open. All hooks now open and nominal. Dragon and we have undocking physical separation confirmed at 5:15 p.m. Central Time, 6:15 p.m. Eastern Time as the station and Dragon flew 260 miles over Jakarta, Indonesia. And undock burn number 2 has been completed. And depart 0 burn now underway. You can see those Draco thrusters doing their thing, opening up an increasingly quicker separation rate between Dragon and the station. Depart 0 burn complete. Depart burn 0 complete. Performance nominal. Visiting Vehicle Officer here reports good trajectory as a Dragon Endurance leaves the International Space Station from which it docked 146 days ago. We're about 4 minutes away from depart burn number 1. That'll be a 22-second firing of the Draco thrusters to increase the acceleration of Endurance away from the international outpost. Again, physical separation undocking occurring at 5:15 p.m. Central, 6:15 p.m. Eastern Time as Dragon and the station flew 260 miles over Jakarta, Indonesia. And again, we will remain in integrated operations with Hawthorne, California, and SpaceX Mission Control until the time that Endurance has exited the approach ellipsoid, which is that 2x2 by 4 kilometer invisible boundary basically a racetrack-shaped oval-type boundary that represents the vicinity of the neighborhood of the International Space Station within which integrated operations are conducted. And Mlan, Nicole Ayres, Takuya Onishi, and Kil Pesco beginning the journey home that will culminate with their parachute-assisted splashdown off the coast of California Saturday morning. The track of Dragon and the station will carry it a moment from now across Malaysia and then just south of Manila, the capital of the Philippines. Everything has gone by the book. All of the pre-departure preparations went up the timeline. The undocking was deliberately pushed back a few minutes to gain better visibility, communications, and camera views of Dragon as it departed the International Space Station. We still are headed for a splashdown on Saturday morning at 10:33 a.m. Central Time, 8:33 a.m. Pacific Time off the coast of California. This will be the 4th time that SpaceX will have executed a splashdown and recovery off the coast of California following in the footsteps of Fram-2, the 32nd commercial resupply mission, a cargo Dragon, and then most recently Axiom 4. But this will be the first time that a California splashdown will have been executed as part of the commercial crew program. We're about 25 seconds away from departure burn number 1. This is a 22-second firing with a delta velocity change of 0.6 of a meter per second to further increase Endurance's opening rate from the International Space Station. That will be followed seconds later by its exit from the keep-out sphere. The first of these 2 boundaries are within which integrated operations are occurring and depart burn 1 underway. Depart burn 1 complete. You are go to DOS suits per procedure 4.012. Reminder, ground will be deactivating the big loop following exit from the approach ellipsoid. Dragon now maneuvering. 10 copies. Zod do the ISS crew. Expedition 73 Bravo. It is an absolute privilege to cross paths with you. Good luck in the rest of the mission. Godspeed and Vapor Talk and Caril. Thank you for your wishes. We wish you fair winds and following seas. It's been an honor for all of us around the world to support you as you lived and worked on the International Space Station. We cannot wait to welcome you home to the blue skies of Earth. Endurance Commander and Mlan exchanging words station on a big loop. Fair winds and following seas. It was a huge honor to work with you all. We're going to miss you and we can't wait to see you back on Earth. Likewise, Johnny and the rest of the crew have a great mission. Again, Endurance Commander and Mlan wishing her all the best and a big vote of thanks. Dragon and Station Houston on the big loop. Dragon has exited the keep-out sphere and as you heard her Endurance is now outside of the keep-out sphere. The next milestone will be coming up about 11 minutes from now and that will be the approach ellipsoid exit to conclude joint integrated operations. And you heard those words from spacecraft communicator Tess Caswell here in Mission Control as well as NASA astronaut Johnny Kim who remains on board the station until early December as part of the Expedition 73 crew. I have you loud and clear on the cabin MIC on the big loop. Okay, we can hear you loud and clear. And those comms there were with the core or the crew. SpaceX Dragon come check on Dragon to ground. I've got you loud and clear on Dragon to ground. How me? Okay, same. Thanks again. Those comms there were between JAXA astronaut Takuya Onishi and the core of the crew operations resource engineer in SpaceX Mission Control in Hawthorne just behind us. And again, to recap a little bit, the undock command was sent around 3:10 p.m. Pacific, 6:10 p.m. Eastern. This was then followed by umbilical retraction and hooks opening with that physical separation then taking place at 3:15 p.m. Pacific, 6:15 p.m. Eastern as the space station and Dragon were traveling 260 statute miles over Indonesia. Dragon has since completed 2 of 4 departure burns and exited the keep-out sphere. Again, that is that 200-meter invisible boundary around the International Space Station. We are now about 5 or so minutes away from Dragon crossing the approach ellipsoid to set the spacecraft and crew up for their path back to Earth. Dragon is now about 500 meters away from the International Space Station. Again, that range and range rate continuing to increase as it continues on its departure. Again, Dragon is targeted to splash down off the coast of California tomorrow, August 9th, at 8:33 a.m. Pacific, 11:33 a.m. Eastern, marking the completion of their 5-month science and research mission. Of course, if you're following along, you've noticed that in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, we have updated the telemetry that we're sharing with you now tracking the speed and altitude of the Dragon spacecraft. There we've got a shot on board on your screen right now of on board the Dragon spacecraft. Our crew inside has been given the go to do their suits. Generally speaking, we always have the astronauts in their suits when we're in dynamic phases of flight. That's because the spacesuits are effectively an extension of the spacecraft. If we needed to for any reason, the spacesuit is designed to keep the astronauts safe. Now that we've cleared that dynamic phase, it's time for them to take those suits off, get a little bit more comfortable for their 17.5-hour journey home. And then they will put those suits back on just before they begin that deorbit phase. So they'll have a little bit of time to get some sleep, get a meal, and really settle in since it is a 17.5-hour journey. Again, we are about 5 or 6 minutes away from exiting the approach ellipsoid. And that is that 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers by 4 kilometers invisible boundary that we are waiting for Dragon to exit. And once that happens, Crew-10 will no longer be in integrated operations. And you did hear them setting up some of the communications directly between SpaceX Mission Control and Hawthorne and Crew-10 aboard Dragon. So it'll be a direct communication with them without the station crew in the loop there. And right now, Dragon is about 600 meters away from the International Space Station as the International Space Station travels about 260 statute miles over the Pacific Ocean off of the coast of Japan. And the International Space Station does go through an orbit every 90 minutes or so. And when we had that undocking, you could see the sunrise. So they were coming into an orbital daytime during that undocking. And that is actually why the undock was delayed by about 10 minutes, just to allow better comms and to get those great views from the International Space Station.